Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Bola. Thank you so much for joining. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back again. I'm the host on this channel, The Immigrant Nurse, where we discuss everything about migration. And today I have a special guest with me, Linda Eze. Linda Eze is a YouTuber as well, and she currently eats a milestone 20,000 subscribers. She shares content about migration to UK, US, and so many other countries. She shares content for both nurses, healthcare assistants, and every other professionals. So if you are here to check out her channel, please check her channel. She has a lot of valuable information. She's very, very resourceful, and she gives value all the time. Trust me, if I do say so myself, because I follow each of her videos. So if you have not yet checked out her channel, and if you have not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I will leave a link to our channel in the description box down below. Thank you so much, Linda, for coming.
Thank
Please
you,
tell us
thank
more
you,
about
thank you for
you.
having me. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for clicking to watch this video because I believe that you have something to take from this video after this discussion. So thank you so much for inviting me, okay?
Thank you. So tell us more about yourself, because I know I've not said a lot.
Okay. Hi everyone. I think she said almost everything. My name is Linda Eze. I'm a registered nurse. I registered as a nurse in Nigeria and moved to the UK and worked for almost 4 years and now I moved to the United States recently. So now I live and work in the US. So and I also have a YouTube channel where I share content like she mentioned. So that's basically it.
Thank you, Linda. So I have a list of questions here. I'll just ask you those questions so that we will give this video some structure. So the first question is, when did you move to the UK?
Okay, so I moved to UK in 2018. Yes, 2018.
And why did you choose to leave UK? Because from what you said recently, you said you have been in the you were in the UK for almost 4 years. That's the point where people feel like I have just 1 year to go and I'll get my ILR. So why did you choose to forfeit that and still move to the US?
Okay, yeah, that is really most people ask me this same question, why did you move? And it was also a very huge dilemma for us before we moved from UK to US. So I would say that, okay, first of all, you said like when I moved to the UK and why did I leave UK to the US? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I decided to leave the UK to US because it was part of the plan. So usually what I say is if you want to move to any country at all, if you want to move from Nigeria to UK or to any country at all, planning is really, really very important. You need to really know exactly what you want. Otherwise, you are going to, once you move to the UK and so many of like it's a new environment, it's a new workplace and everything, you are going to get distracted and maybe so many other things that will be happening might make you not to, like, if you don't like that place, it will be like you are in a deep hole. If my colleague here will agree with me, if you move to a new country, it's like somehow overwhelming. So if eventually you are unlucky and you find yourself in an environment you don't like and you don't have a plan, you are going to be really, really frustrated. So having a definite plan will actually help you to withstand so many of those culture shock or so many of those things that you experience as an immigrant in a new country. So moving to the UK to US was actually one of my biggest plans when I was in Nigeria. But one thing would have changed that plan if I had gone to the UK and I was able to achieve some other plans I have in my list. Maybe because I have stayed up to 4 years, I would have decided to stay back in the UK. So what I want to say is that so many of the things that I wanted to achieve, I wasn't achieving it in the UK. Not because UK is bad, so I'm not going to discourage anybody from going to the UK. In fact, so many people, like it's even basically what I talk about in my channels. Even my own relative just moved to the UK recently. So I'm not discouraging anybody from going to the UK, but personally, many of the things I wanted to achieve, like going to school and so many things about my career and travel, I couldn't do that when I was in the UK. So immediately it was like, immediately I got to the UK and noticed that I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do this. I just planned within the first 6 months and wrote my exam, and then I decided to just plan towards moving to the US. So that's basically it. I couldn't go to school in the UK. I wanted to. And then where I was working wasn't like, it wasn't giving me everything I needed. So that was the second thing that made me to. And then the third thing is that because I decided quickly to move from the UK to the US in my first 6 months, writing my exam and passing. So even when I was getting comfortable in the UK and started seeing so many opportunities and maybe things that will make me to think, I may still be able to do these things here, my going to the US was almost like at the tail end. So I just decided to just carry on with it. So yeah.
So you're trying to say that you wrote your NCLEX and passed within 6 months of arrival in the UK?
I would say that I, within 6 months of arrival in the UK, no. In the first 6 months was when I decided that I would go to the US. And then that was when I explored agencies and got one and started actively getting ready for IELTS. So getting ready for NCLEX. So because I've already started that process, within that first 6 months, I was already fixed to just plan, and go to the US. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. When you were in the UK, were you working with NHS or care home?
Yes, I worked with NHS, yeah.
Oh, okay. How long have you been in the US for now?
Let's say 6 months, roughly 6 months.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
still
Okay.
very new.
So, I watched one of your videos and you said you had a newborn while you were preparing for your exam, your NCLEX
uh,
exam. So, how did you
NCLEX
cope?
exam.
How did you
Okay.
cope with work, newborn, family, NCLEX exam? Because some people are in that situation right now. How did you
So
manage your time? Were you picking
okay,
it?
yeah.
Did
So
you start picking
I think
extra
in that
shifts
video,
and everything?
what I said was I was pregnant when I was getting ready for NCLEX. So I was
Yeah.
pregnant when I was getting ready for NCLEX. But I would actually say that UK was actually a huge blessing to me because UK has like you have like time, and then I was working in London and I have to travel with train. So that my total travel per day would be like approximately 2 hours, 1 hour to, and then 1 hour from work. So that was where that UK London underground was actually a blessing because I used that time. I used that time to get ready because I had a little girl and then work. I was working night shift, so I just had to use that time. Like I dedicated that time. Immediately I sit down on the train. I'll start listening to one. Let's say I'll just start listening to the recordings or start going through the lessons. And so I was doing it like every time. So it was as if I'm working for our 4 days that week. That means I'll have like huge amount of time that I'm dedicating to my studies. And then practicing as well in the UK helped me to, like, when I'm practicing, I'm giving medication and I know that I need to learn some medication, then I'm using that time. Then if they say, okay, who wants to go to another ward or something like that, I'll volunteer. They'll think that, oh, maybe she likes to go. But because I really wanted to like expose myself to many things and then I'm getting ready for exam and all of that. So I used that time. So I would say it's still part of the plan. Like if I didn't have in mind I was going to the US, I wouldn't be like using all the, like I wouldn't be focusing on getting ready, passing my NCLEX and everything. So once you know that this is not your destination or you want to go somewhere, you will see opportunities around. Even when you don't like the place you are, you give yourself that pat in the back that like I will leave this place very soon. Even when they are trying to tell you, okay, even when everybody don't want to go to somewhere else, but like they will just say, okay, you be the one to go. You just say, okay, I'll use this time to learn, something like that. So that was what I did. So I used that time to study, and then it helped me to cope. I will not say I was able to manage my time like at home because it was difficult staying with kids and everything. I just found that time, that travel time, I just used it maximally. I will not say that's the only time, but I think that was the huge thing that helped me, that travel time.
Then, in one of your videos, I also saw that you did your registration with Colorado. Why Colorado?
Okay, so I work with an agency right now. So that agency usually they pick those states that they have good relationship with, like they are able to communicate with effectively, and they feel that their process is fast. So no matter where you're going to work in the US, they try to use those states. So in my own case, they select, and I feel like many people still registered in Colorado. So when you now get a job in a different state, what they need you to do is now to endorse in that state. So now I work in Texas. So what I did was what they had me do was to get endorsed in Texas. So you have to like apply again in Texas, and then they'll give you the endorsement, so you get that license as well. So that was what I did in my case, and it was not difficult, but I just had to write their medical jurisprudence because in Texas they write an exam, but it's
Okay, that
not
open
difficult
book
as well.
exam.
So they write the jurisprudence exam, and that was what I did, and then got the license to practice in Texas. So I think I still tell people that as well. When you are registering, it's best to ask people like which state is easy to get, like that don't request so many things and their process is fast, because that's what agencies do. So if you are doing it yourself, you should go for those states that are easy. easy to register with. So when you get your license there, then getting a license in another state will be easier as well because you're already a USRN. So yeah.
So when you say that easy, what do you mean? Like they don't require so much? They don't. Is it that they don't require IELTS and those other?
Yeah, I think in the beginning they don't require IELTS in the beginning. So when they requested for IELTS was for another process like the visa screen, because when you now eventually pass it, you have to do the visa screen, the certificate that you will now use for your visa. So that was where they now requested for an English book. That was where I submitted my own IELTS. So, and then again, I forgot to mention that this IELTS was also one of my main reasons that the IELTS I used in Nigeria. So it was also part of the plan. Like when I get to the UK, I'll just access the UK fast to know whether it's going to tick all my boxes. So when I got there and like I said, okay, I'm going to move to the US, I decided to make sure I write my IELTS to write my NCLEX fast enough before my IELTS that I used to go to the UK expires, so that I don't have to write the IELTS again. So that same IELTS that I used to travel to the UK, I used it for my visa screen. So
Oh, so you didn't
for
have to
some
write
of you
another
that are still
IELTS.
getting ready, yes. So if you still have IELTS that is not expired and you are dreaming to go to the US, you can like make use of that time, so you don't have to write any other exam.
Oh, that's really nice. Okay, so my next question is: how tedious is the job compared to UK? Like,
I feel like I feel like I can talk like all day about this job comparison. Like honestly, the it's what do you think? What do you think? If they are going to pay you well, then you have to work well, right? For some of us that are new here, we are like, oh my god, so that's the reason. So you have to really work. You have to really work as a nurse. You have to. The only thing is that the shortage of nurses in the UK, it felt more. It's felt more in the sense that here they have like a strict rule. I can't have like more than 6 patients. Usually it's 4 to 6 patients. But in the UK, I remember our normal for day shift is 7, and in the night is 9. And then when it is short, then you can even have more than that. 12. No matter how you shout, they'll still allow you to to do that. But here it's 6. But that 6, oh my god, it's possible that you will not sit down like, and then it's different. So usually when I want to compare this, I'll say that it's different. It's different in the sense that their structure is different. What you need to do as a nurse is different than what you need. So in the UK, it's stressful on its own way. Then here it's stressful on its own way because of the things that you need to do. Like you are just responsible for a lot of things. In the UK, maybe you'll be seeing doctors around in the night, but you take most of the decisions. Even when you call the doctor, you still suggest to the doctor, do you want to do this? Like you're not telling the doctor, come and see a patient. Even when you say, come and see a patient and say this, then you want to tell the doctor, do you want to prescribe this for this patient? Do you think this patient needs this? Something like that. So for me, I would say it's different. And if you want to grow as a nurse, I feel like if I would tell like a new nurse, I really want to grow as a nurse, US is the place. Because you will learn, you will use everything you learned as a nurse, you use it here. And UK is also good in its own way because the structure is different as well. You will still grow, but you have to be intentional. In the UK, you have to be
intentional.
intentional. Like if you want to achieve things, you have to go for it. I learned that at the end of my staying as I continue staying in the UK. So if assuming I have stayed back in the UK, everything I want to do, I'm trying to do here, I'll still have done it in the UK. The only thing is that you have to be intentional. You have to go for things. Otherwise, you will not have any push. Nobody's going to like push you, even to go from one band to another, you have to apply for it. Nobody's going to push you, especially, I mean, some people, they do go to them behind and ask them, do you want to be a band 6? But so many people, they will not ask you that. So you have to go for things. If you want to school, you have to go for it. But here, a lot of things will push you. You want to learn. You're seeing people doing it. You're seeing that if you get this certificate, it's going to help you to earn more. Unlike, yeah, so the difference is just different. Yeah.
What's the hierarchical arrangements like? Here we have healthcare assistants before the nurse, so you have somebody to at least help you with patients. Is it like that in the US? Do you guys have like healthcare assistants, like people who
Yes.
assist you?
Yes, in the UK and in the US, they have a lot of, in fact, they have everything. They have everything they have a lot of specialties in the US. They have CNAs, they have LVN, like they have one
Please
called
tell
the
us the full meaning.
vocational. No, the CNA is certified nurse assistant, something like that. But they have LVN, that one is licensed vocational nurse. They spend more time in school. CNAs don't spend so much time in school. Then they have LVN, and then they have RN, and then they have BSN, like that. They have a lot of specialties, and they have like their own job description as well. But in the UK, they
So
have just the CNA, they have the nurses, they're beginning to have band 4 associate nurses, something like that in the
yeah,
UK as
yeah,
well.
that's what
So
to
they
say.
have different ones in the US. I feel like in the US everything is shared. Like they also have one that I found really very interesting. They have respiratory physiotherapists. They have that in the UK, but you have to call them if a patient needs like something with their airway or something like that. But this one they round, like they are part of the team, or they round. We don't here, nurses don't do the breathing treatments ordinarily. So if the patient needs oxygen and all those nerves and everything, they have like special people that have to come and do that. They have people that do the ECG. Sometimes they in the UK the CNS do help to do the ECG, right? But here they have ECG tech and all of that. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so nurses still do it, but like they share their work here, which is really cool. And in the UK, it's quite different. That's just it.
It's completely different, like two
Yeah.
different words. So, what's your job description like? A typical day in your life as a nurse in the US, what's it like?
So as a nurse in the US, so a typical day be like you go to work, then they have like you have to clock in. In the UK, I think they're beginning to adopt that you have to like clock in at work. The time that you arrive there, they going to work early is really really appreciated here. You have to clock in and out. If you are going for break, you have to clock in and out like that. And then they also have a charge nurse. The same with the UK, they have a charge nurse, and then here you have to like accept your patient. Like if you know the handover within
Hand
the
over
UK,
and
this
take
where they
over.
have the like if they want to, they usually call it like the huddle, safety huddle. Like everybody has to stand. Before I was like, this is not security, man. And then they have to like stand and they will address everybody. Okay, this is where you this, and everybody will go. And then when you are taking over a patient, they will tell you everything about the patient. Like they will tell you everything about the patient, tell you the patient's history, tell you the diagnosis, tell you why the patient is there, the test that they have done for the patient, the results of the test that they had done, the results of the test. I mean, by the time you're looking after patient, you know everything about that patient. So that is why, like, if anything happens, even if like patients become suddenly ill and everybody come there, if you see the way they go, okay, who is looking after this patient? I have to like tell them. It's like, but it's very challenging, but you get used to it. Like I'm getting used to it, and I feel like any nurse at all can do it. Like when people say working in the US is difficult or something, like any nurse, if once you have passed nursing school, you can do it. It's just time you can do it. Yeah.
So, when you say that a maximum of 6 patients are allocated to you, do you have like a specialty you work in?
Okay, so here I work in cardiac like telemetry units.
Oh, okay. Do you have experience in that in the UK?
So in the UK, it's here. Here it's a bit. Here it's a bit divided in the sense that you will. Here they have like they have, if they have ICU, they have CV ICU, that's cardiovascular ICU for cardio. Then they have
Okay, okay.
ICU for a different one, ICU for med
For
surg.
each
So
specialty,
yeah, so if they say cardiac, it's like cardiac, like. But in the UK, maybe med surg, you still have experience with using the monitors and everything. So in the UK, if you work in the UK med surg, you will still have an idea of using the ECGs, the monitors, and everything because they
yeah.
are combined kind of. But here now, you're not focusing on that.
I was asking that back in UK, were you in cardiac specialty?
That's what I'm saying. So if I was in med-surg, for instance, in the UK, I would still have experience with that. So when I was looking for a job here, once you think like, because I work with an agency, once you say, okay, you know how to use this equipment, like if you have
Okay,
watched my video
okay.
where I talked about if you're making a CV as a nurse and
Yeah,
you're looking for a job in the
yeah.
United States, you have to like tell them exactly the things, the equipment you have used, the skills that you have. So with that, they can match you with a
Okay,
particular area that
okay.
you'll be working in.
Okay, okay, okay. I understand now. So you've already told us that nursing in US is more autonomous. You have more autonomy
Yeah.
in the US.
Somehow,
You make
yeah,
more
it's not really. You
decisions,
still work with other team members, right? But you have like more. Would I
responsibility.
say, yeah, more responsibilities. That's the word. Yeah.
So now let's talk about the cost of living differences. You were in London, and we all know that London is expensive. So compared to where you are now in the US, what do you think?
Okay, so I would say it's the same. The cost of living for
Really?
me, for me, it's the same. Really, it's the same. Like I was. The only thing is that for what you're paying for, the likely thing is that when you move to the US, you will live in a bigger space, right? So because you're
Yeah.
living in a bigger space, you pay the
Yes.
same thing. So what I'm paying now, if I'm in the UK, I'll live in a smaller space and pay the same thing. So that's just it. So it's not as if I'll be saving more because I'll be saving more money in terms of renting because I'm in the US. The only thing is that like if you move immediately to the only thing is that if you move immediately to the US, you will live in a bigger space, and then that bigger space is going to be the same rent, the same. But like, I don't even know how to explain it. But the thing is that it's the same. You're not going to save more because you are in the US. It's the same in terms of rent. It's the same, and then the
But in
cost
terms of
of
salary, it's not the same.
no, it's not good to compare the salary. To be honest, it's not good to compare the salary because definitely it's higher. Definitely it's higher. Even if you're working with agents, definitely the salary is higher. So it's not good if you start comparing, which is not comparable in fact. So, but the thing is, it just depends on where you want to work, and anybody can work here. I don't want anybody can work. If you pass NCLEX and come here, even if you find it challenging in the beginning, you get there. That's just the truth. In terms of salary, they pay more. In terms of the cost of living, for me, food and rent is the same, but you have more access to it here in the sense that it was really challenging for me to get accommodation each time each time in the UK. You want to move from this place to this place, sometimes they say tell you are not qualified, maybe because it was London, because my relatives that just moved to the UK, they are finding accommodation wherever they are, but in London they'll tell you are not qualified, your salary, which is really very, you know, they'll tell you that your
Difficult.
salary is not enough for you to live here. And I'm like, you allowed me to come and work in London and you're telling me I can't live here. Even though I'm looking for a house that is 1 hour to central London, you're still telling me that I'm not qualified, which is really terrible. So those kind of things you will not find it here. You can easily get the accommodation and they will not tell you are not qualified, something like that. But yeah, it's the same. But the accommodation you will still spend. They have a lot of bills as well. They have like that one bill, that one bill, that one. They don't have council tax here, but they do have like maybe something insurance, this one insurance. They have a lot of bills as well. So I say it's the same. It's the same. It's just the ease of getting accommodation is easier to get accommodation here. Food is the same. In my
Okay.
opinion, food is the same.
So the next question I want to ask you is about childcare. What's it like over there? Is it the
It's still
same
challenging
challenging?
here. It's still challenging here. We still, for now, we are still working around. Like I and my husband, we're still working around the kids. We are still working around the kids. So
It's the
yeah,
same.
it's the same. I'm still getting to learn that aspect of childcare, to be fair. I'm not able to like talk more about, but they usually tell us that they have a lot of options. And one beautiful thing about here is that they have like a number you have to call, and then they give you all the information you need. They'll tell you whether there is a childcare center around you, the different options that they have and all that. So, but I'm not using that, so I'm not able to really talk about the childcare because I'm not using childcare yet. So yeah.
Mhm. And how easy was it for your husband to get a job?
So here, I'll say that
Sorry, is he a nurse?
no, no, my
Okay.
husband is not a nurse.
Okay.
And the thing is that for getting a job, because I was in London, yes, because I was in London, right? So in London, it's easy to get a job. It's easy to get a job in London, but people living outside London, they complain that their partners are not able to get a job. Which part of UK are you? Sorry.
I'm in Basingstoke. That's close to Winchester.
Okay, I'm not sure how easy it is to get a job there, but I know that in
I
London it
think
was
it's
quite
dependent on the partner's occupation or specialty.
operation. Okay. Okay. So I think in London it was quite easy for my husband to like get offers and offers like that, even though it might not be in your industry like what you studied in school if you're not a nurse. But then here, to do anything at all, they will require like you have to have your driver's license first of all, registered in that state. You have to do for everything. They have to do like good training. Like if you want, even if it's here, like the healthcare assistant that is easy to get in the UK. Here you have to do like 6 weeks, 6 weeks training and get certified. Like write a recognized exam, not
Exam.
the school that will give you the exam. Like exam that you have to write with PSVUE. I'm telling you. So you have to like, but at the end of the day, I appreciate that, because if you work with their CNA, you better work well, because even if you're not getting it right, they know their CNAs are really good here, because they are trained well as well. So I think I think for both of them, it was easier for my husband to get a job in UK. It
Mm.
was easier.
Better in UK than US.
It was easier for him to get a job in the UK. Yeah. But in the US, yes, he has to like start going for courses. But I think it depends on the individual as well, because if you're very picky, you don't want to do that, you don't want to do that, then you have to go and do training. Like if you go around the town, you see they're hiring here, stores, all those things they are hiring. But if you don't like that kind of job and you want to do something more professional, anything professional, even anything at all that requires license, and many things require like some form of license, then you have to study for it. So that's what he did. So maybe because he's him, but otherwise, you still see vacancies and all that. But in the UK, usually they will be the one calling you. That they have, like, if you register, they'll be calling you or not. Here, they call you as well, but yeah, they would always require that you have the license, driver's license. You have it. I didn't need to have driver's license in the UK. He didn't need to have driver's license in the UK to work. But here, most of them request that driver's license.
Wow. And it has to be the US driver's license, not international.
Yeah, some people say they use international, but it didn't work for him. Maybe it works for people, but for us, I'm using my experience here. So for us, experience-wise, is they always request for. But the thing is that if you moved with an agency, you get that very quickly. So he did have, but then he wanted a job, so another a kind of job. So he had to like do training for it.
Okay.